Hi, I'm Deb Flashenberg. I'm the founder and director here at Prenatal Yoga Center, and you are watching What to Look For in a Childbirth Education class. This was originally taped for Periscope, which is a live stream app from Twitter, so it's a little bit of communication between the community. So I'm asking questions, I'm answering questions, and I'm commenting. So I hope you enjoy our video. Have a wonderful day. Namaste. So what I want to talk about today, about finding the right childbirth education class. So as I mentioned, I'm the founder and director here at Prenatal Yoga Center, and I'm also a labor support doula and a certified Lamaze teacher and a mother of two. And so I've been working with the pregnant community for really quite some time. And when I was deciding to take which childbirth education certification to take, I was a little skeptical of Lamaze at first because the way I had it perceived in my mind was like that old-fashioned breathing, and they just sat around and just like breathed with each other. And then I researched it more, and I was really thrilled that a lot of what Lamaze is now is based on evidence-based research, and that's really what I resonate with. When I write my blogs, when I do my Periscope, when I do my, I'm working my podcasts and I guess speaking events, I really go from the foundation of information. I love finding a study. I love getting real information to back up what I think and what I say and the information that I'm offering. So that's why I went with Lamaze, because I felt like it offered that. Now, recently one of my students talked to me and was telling me about the childbirth education class that she took, and she was really surprised at the information she didn't get as well as the exercises she didn't get. And so we actually now have set up a private that I'm just going to go in and do like a 2-hour refresher. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what to look for when picking a childbirth education class. Now, a while ago, I did a whole Periscope, which I now have on my website, Prenatal Yoga Center, as well as on YouTube, about the importance of taking a childbirth education class. So just to slightly recap that, there's statistics that show that women that take a childbirth education class have more satisfaction in their birth. They feel like they have more information to make empowered decisions, and overall, they feel that the whole experience was more positive. So you can check that out. Please do check that out if you're kind of on the fence. Now, if you're taking one, what to look for. So personally, I think it's important to take a childbirth ed class out of the hospital. And here's why. I think you're going to learn different options. Now, the way a lot of the hospitals work is they want to give you their protocol. So you go in and you do X, Y, and Z. Oh, Yali just popped on. Hi, Yali. And I think it's important to take the childbirth education class outside of the hospital so that you hear maybe a broader range of options, not just what the hospital protocols are. You really hear many different options. So I think if you are stuck with the hospital, that's your only option, then try to augment that with extra reading. I also think you want to make sure that all types of pain management are covered. So the student that just came to me,
Nope,
we're not going to talk
gonna
about
block
that one.
that.
The student
Sorry.
that just came up to me recently and asked me about childbirth ed, she said the woman that taught them only talked about pain medication in terms of medicine. She didn't talk anything about some natural ways to deal with pain. And I thought that's really a disservice, because even if a mom is planning on taking pain medication, usually an epidural, upon entering the hospital, she's not going to have the epidural just, inserted right into her back. There's going to be several steps to that. And many of the hospitals here don't want you showing up before you're in active labor. And so the mom is going to have some techniques, some tools to deal with the contractions, the labor at home. So just focusing on pain medication, I think, is a huge disservice. So even if you're managing everything at home and you're like, okay, I made it to the hospital, I'm kind of on the brink of early active labor, I'm handling everything. What if you get to the hospital and you have to wait in the waiting room? Now, granted, I've only worked here in New York City, so maybe in other places you don't have the same situation. What tends to happen here is you get into the hospital, you check in, you go into the waiting room, and then eventually you're going into triage. In triage, you're going to have someone check you to see how dilated you are, and also do at least 20 minutes of a tracing where they're checking the baby's heart rate. They're also going to check how far apart the contractions are. And so they're going to admit you if things are moving along well, or if things are not moving well in terms of maybe mom has high blood pressure and medical treatment needs to be served. But if that's not the case, they want to see mom in active labor, and so you're there for at least 20 minutes, at least, maybe even longer. And then a labor and delivery room has to open up, and then you go in, and say you're still only relying on the epidural, then you have to speak to the anesthesiologist, you have to get 2 bags of fluids, and then it finally gets administered. So when you're looking for your childbirth ed classes, it's very important that you know that you're going to be given all sorts of pain management tools, not just the medication, even if you're planning on having a fully medicated birth. Now, say you're not planning on having a full medicated birth, if you don't have these tools given to you, you're really going to be at a disadvantage. So there's many different ways for pain management. You know, we talk a lot about breathing and movement. And when we talk about the breathing, let me back that up. And I was going to get this later, but let's jump into it now. So what the student said she learned was really that old-fashioned. Now, when I was trained, which is about 10 years ago, we were not taught that breath. And that is not what we teach here in yoga. You know, if you ever in a situation where you're uncomfortable, you're not going to go to that type of breath. You're going to go to deep breathing. Like if you stub your toe, we usually seize up, we tighten. We don't want to tighten. We don't want to create that type of breath. So instead, we want to go more for a relaxed breath, something that's going to put us in what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. So I did an exercise with my students that day after this came up at the beginning of class, and we held Warrior 2, which is a strong standing pose. And I asked them, go ahead, try some rhythmic breathing, and then go ahead and try some deep breathing, and tell me what you prefer. And hands down, everyone wanted the deep breathing. So that was another of my points, is go for modern techniques. Make sure that who you're studying with is giving current information. You want to make sure the information is based on evidence-based research and it's current. They're not stuck to a curriculum from 20, 30 years ago. So again, we want to make sure that you're taking this outside the hospital so that you get all the options, that you're learning all different types of pain management techniques. You're not just learning medication. Valid, totally important to learn that in case that's the direction you go, but you want to know how your partner can get their hands on you. Maybe some massage, maybe some, hip compression, especially on the sacrum. How can you find, maybe you're using mantras, visualizations, different conscious relaxation techniques. How do you find deep breathing? What are different movements that you can do? Get on all fours, lean against a wall, sway your hips, how to work with your partner, as well as different birthing positions. So also the student told me they didn't even go over other options besides being on their back, which kind of goes to the more of a less modern technique of birthing now. So again, we want to make sure all different types of pain management is covered. We want to make sure that the information is current. And you also want to look at modern techniques. Another thing to look at is what length do you want? Now there's all different types of lengths. Here at Prenatal Yoga Center, we do a 2-day intensive, and that seems to fit the schedule of many of the parents here in New York City. It's 4 hours each day. Oh, thanks Amy for popping on. So we want to make sure that you're looking at a system that's going to work best for you. So if you want, like the Bradley techniques are often 8 to 12 weeks. If that's the specific technique you want, look for that. If you want to have maybe 2 hours a week for 4 or 8 weeks, look for that. But here we go specifically for a 2-day intensive. So look for something that will fit your schedule. And then as I touched upon, there's different techniques out there. So if you're looking for maybe the Bradley technique or a very specific Lamaze or birthing from within, there's all different techniques. Many of them work well with one another. So figure out what works for you, or just a general childbirth education, again, based on evidence-based research. So those are some of my top tips for finding a childbirth education that fits for you, your family, your partner. So if you have any, thanks for the hearts. If you have any questions, I'd love to talk about that. If you have any comments, those that are birth workers, or any birth workers out there that have other tips, because I'm always about sharing with the community, maybe I missed something. So if there's any birth workers that think, oh, she didn't include this, please let me know. Or if you're a new mom or an expectant mom, is there anything that you found very helpful from your childbirth ed class, or is there anything that really kind of didn't sit well with you? I'd love to hear back from you guys, because it's always important to hear the feedback and just to communicate with one another. So I'll give you a few moments in case you're going and typing that in. So, we have tons of YouTube videos as well as videos on my website. I'm actually looking at certifications now. Oh, okay, great. So again, I chose the Lamaze Certification. I thought it really fit well. And also, people recognize if I say I'm a Lamaze teacher, they immediately relate that to childbirth ed. So I thought that was a relatable piece of information for the women to be like, oh, she's, has that information. Something else I'd like to offer. Oh, so maybe you're thinking of offering that. That would be great. Anyone else that's pregnant out there that has questions on what to look for, or anyone that gave birth that really appreciated part of their childbirth ed class? So a lot of people still popping on. So, you know, I'm going to give you guys just another moment, and then we're going to pop off our Periscope as we get ready to teach. So again, as I was mentioning, we have tons of childbirth ed class information on our website, Prenatal Yoga Center, on our YouTube, Prenatal Yoga Center, and I do a lot on our Instagram as well that might be inspirational for you. So a little bit quiet today, so thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful Monday. I will see you again. I do my Periscopes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and if you have some ideas of something you want covered, I know I actually have one that one of our students and friends here, Yali, suggests. I'm going to work that into our calendar. Please let me know. I'd love to make sure that I'm communicating what you guys want to hear. So you can always reach me at Deb at Prenatal Yoga Center. So I hope you have a really wonderful, wonderful Monday, and I'll see you Wednesday. Namaste.